My friend, not broken, disconnected. That's what I keep coming back to, because most of us are walking through life thinking that we need to fix ourselves, do more, be better, when really we've just gotten disconnected from who we are. Welcome to Mindset Medicine. I am Dr. Tanya Berfield, speaker, mindset strategist, and someone who believes that real change happens when we bring together science, soul, somatics, and a dash of hippie woo. This podcast is all about coming back to yourself, about learning how to know yourself, trust yourself, align your life, and lead with confidence, integrity, and real power. Some weeks, it's just you and me, diving into mindset shifts, nervous system work, and the patterns that keep us stuck in overthinking, overfunctioning, and burnout. Other weeks, I'm sitting down with people who are doing something just a little bit better than we are, whether that is leadership, parenting, money, health, or just how they're showing up in their lives. Not because they have it all figured out, but because they have found something that works, and we get to learn from that. So if you have been feeling overwhelmed, stuck, or like you are doing everything right, but something still feels off, my friend, you are in the right place. I have a fun, cool guest with me today. I'm so excited about this conversation. I know I say that all the time, but I really am excited about this conversation. We had trouble getting to the recording because we were just bubbling into every other thing that was happening. So with me today, I have Layne Burkette. Hey, Layne, how are you?
Hi, good, Tanya. Wonderful to see you.
You as well. So Layne is a counselor, a somatic therapist, and a nervous system educator. So I'm sure that you just picked up those are some of my favorite words and things that I love to talk about. So I expect that this is going to be an interesting conversation with lots of good takeaways that will be able to help all of you out there. So Layne, why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thank you so much. So, I am passionate about this work because it's born from a place of really needing the work myself and then seeing it in my clients as well. And as a mother of four, I feel it also within my family
Mm.
system. So, I became a licensed professional counselor, and that kind of grew into being a somatic educator, yoga meditation teacher. And I just love to help people. I'm just a natural healer. And as a result, I've really just gone into helping people to regulate their nervous systems and
Mhm.
so that they can then feel more calm, more clear, more connected instead of feeling that like overwhelm, that pushing through, that burnout, that intensity of those emotions. So the work I teach is really about simple embodied tools like breath and movement and awareness that help you come back to yourself. So that's why I'm so passionate about it
Mm.
because it's real.
So I heard a lot of words there that I want to talk about. So first of all, because I would say very much the same thing for me, you needed this work yourself, right? So
Yeah.
same seas. I started down the path of some of this work because I needed some things and then my kids needed some things. And so you talked about also having four kids. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you were needing and what you were looking for?
Yeah, definitely. I experienced anxiety at a young age, and
Mm.
there was always just this like underlying tension, this trying to, hold it together, not really understanding why. And as a result, I was also a really natural helper. So I ended up really giving to
Mhm,
other people. And
mhm.
so I love to give to other people. I still do. However, I was holding this space for other people, and I was like the Dear Abby in all of the school newspapers. Yeah, I'm the person that they write into. And it was so fun. And at the time, I didn't realize that I was really extending all that help out. And I really just
Mhm,
needed to look inwards. But I wasn't ready. I wasn't able to. So I naturally became a counselor. I really dove into this and I earned a couple degrees and I worked in different settings. And I saw talk therapy and counseling and these types of interventions really helping a lot of people. However, I also noticed some gaps in the treatment, in the
mhm,
outcomes, and then also in my own healing and what was happening in person with people. I could see and feel that there were some gaps in that service. So they would have the right tool. They would have the right phrase to say to themselves. They would have all the cognitive awarenesses and the skills to understand, okay, when I feel anxious, I should do this. Or when I feel depressed, I should do this. Or I'm overwhelmed. but they weren't
Mhm.
applying it. And that's when I
Right.
realized it's not embodied and they don't have a safe enough feeling within themselves and the capacity and the container to be able to be with their discomfort, allow those emotions, name them, and then to be able to nurture themselves. They just didn't have that capacity. And I was feeling it myself. I would be
Mhm.
activated, even though I had all the skills. I can't, we've all tried. You can't talk your way out of feeling sad. You
Yep.
can't talk your way out of feeling anxious or worried or
Mhm.
any of those things. So that was definitely a moment where I was like, wait a second, I need to turn into the body and I need to be embodying these skills and something is happening within my body. So that's when I became a yoga teacher and I studied yoga psychology, meditation, and I like felt the benefits. I'm like, yes, this feels great. And I felt releases, but there was still something a little bit missing. Like the anxiety would return, the tension
Mhm.
would return. I started teaching it to clients, same thing. The nervous system didn't feel fully safe. And then I became a mom amidst all this, and it was like, okay, this is a whole new layer where there's the mental load, the responsibility. You're responsible really for co regulating these other little tiny human
Mhm.
beings that are needing everything from you. And everything got amplified. And that's when I was like, really, this needs to move into the body. And I then decided I'm going to make my own path. I'm going to create my own healing. And I'm going to step into integrating everything that I know and I'm going to make my own system for this. And so I did. And now I integrated the 2 decades of the professional experience, the 14 years now of motherhood that I've had. And I combined nervous system regulation and counseling and movement and yoga and breath work, mindfulness, meditation. And the biggest thing was a real connection with myself and with others. And I gave myself the
Mm.
priority of taking care of myself, which I hadn't ever done, and I look
Mhm.
back and it's like I'd been telling other people to do that and I hadn't been doing it myself. And because I didn't
Yep.
have the capacity, I didn't know how.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that
and
was,
I think,
yeah,
yeah, and also there's this, like, I'm putting my quotes up here, people, if you're not watching. There's a selfishness, like, that people will say, if I
yes,
can't do that, the expectation is I'm doing this and I have to do for these people first. And we all know that that is not true. We have to be taking care of ourselves in order to do better by everybody else. So I think that
right.
makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I think that's the part where realizing that once we put ourselves first and we actually take that time for ourselves, we are able to be better parents, better leaders,
Hmm.
better professionals. All the things just really fall into place. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I had this profound realization after integrating these practices for a while and using everything. I realized I had been looking for someone all along to just sit beside me with my anxiety or my discomfort or my pain or my sadness, whatever it was, my anger, sit beside me and
Hmm.
just validate my wounding, validate my discomfort. And I'd been looking and seeking that through other people. And I realized in that moment, it was me. I just needed I just needed me, I became the
Yes.
presence that I had always wanted. And that was the moment everything shifted and changed. And I decided, okay, once I, really connected with that, then it was like, I'm ready to offer this to other people. And so that's when
I
I
love it.
started that
Yeah,
process.
and so I didn't realize I was gonna say this, but this is, don't you think that when you're talking about, like, looking within and the whole the idea of embodiment, right? Like, and just being okay with who you are, regulating your own nervous system, isn't there a validity that happens there? So when you are
Yes.
validating your own feelings, your own emotions, healing wounds, whether other people agree with you on whether that was a trauma or something that needs to be healed or not, or it's big or it's little or it's whatever it is, when you can validate that it is a thing, it doesn't matter what is the scale, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. When you validate
Yeah.
that, then that's when your world starts to change, and that's when you get to start regulating, that's when you start to get to embody, and that's when you start to heal and do all of the things and sort of approach life from a different lens. Does that ring true for
Yes.
you?
Yes, absolutely. What you're
Mm,
speaking to is that real ability to self-regulate and to also
mhm,
connect with myself in a deeper way that I'm not relying on external validation. I'm really connected with myself and I am nurturing me. And once that shift, it was like this, like I can bring my hand to my heart any time of day and I can say kind things to myself. And it's like this warm,
Yep,
this beautiful connection that I can
yep.
only give myself.
Mhm. I'm laughing at that because 2 reasons. Um I worked on that and I worked on that and I worked on that for, oh my gosh, I feel like my entire life. I started there very early on trying to get past this, like probably imposter syndrome or lack of self trust or lack of confidence, lack of belief in myself and my abilities and my own competence. And I think probably it's a combination of things that got me to a point of being able to validate and believe in myself. And part of it was the work that I was doing, but there was also this thing when I turned 50, and I'm sure I've talked about this on here, but when I turned 50, I stopped caring so much about what everybody else thought. But I also think there was some Reiki work in there, there was some healing work, there were modalities, like, so there's a lot of work, but then 50, like that number meant something. It was like this old crone thing where suddenly I know things and I don't care what you have to say about it. I know what
Yeah.
I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. And there was like this shedding of that, like the old stories and the old narratives about, I don't it doesn't matter what you all thought or what you think or what your presentation of all this is, because this is where I'm at and I'm okay with that.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. And the compassion that you give yourself through that process. And
Mm.
also, like, you shed layers
Mhm.
of, lack of worthiment and lack all these old narratives, these woundings. Like, you're able to say, I am content and really at peace within myself, and I am
Mhm.
worthy being me. And you let go of all the rest of those voices and, that noise that isn't
Mhm.
necessary to really show
Mhm.
yourself who you are and how worthy you are.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
beautiful. And I've started to feel it too. It's kind of that like, oh, and you see it in your teenagers that like they care so
Mhm.
deeply about what everyone else thinks. And
Mm.
it's like, just wait, because a few more years it's gonna be, freedom. Like
Yeah.
when you said
There's
that, I'm like,
no
oh, I
yeah.
feel relief, freedom.
It is freedom. It really is. It feels amazing. You also touched on earlier, and it just sort of reminded me when I started this work, I thought I was teaching self care. Like that's where I started. And I spent a lot of time being unhappy that people were not interested in learning self care. And so I didn't realize that that wasn't actually what I was teaching. It was really about the healing and the regulation and all of it. It was way deeper than I thought that it was for a little while. But Katie Reed is a blogger who defined self care. I'm not sure if you've heard this. I'm sure I've talked about it and people are familiar with this, but there is a definition for her that what she says is self care. That is, self care is giving the world the best of you, not the rest of you. So I teach this to
Mm,
our college students every semester. Like this is what you have to do if you want to show up the way that you are hoping to show up for
yeah.
everything. And so you sort of started talking about that earlier in terms of modalities. You can do all the talk therapy in the world, and I am a fan of talk therapy. So you can do
Yeah.
that. You can do the modalities, the meditations, the nervous system regulation. You can do all of those things. But if you are not creating a prioritization of your
Yeah.
own care, which is, by the way, not just the word self care. I'm not talking about bubble baths and spa
Yeah.
visits. I'm talking about those modalities. If you're not doing that, then you're not providing yourself with the ability to show up the way that you want to show up.
Yes. And I think knowing, yes, that's so powerful because I think you have learned what works for you. And so there's so many
Hmm.
people that talk therapy, a beautiful modality that works so well
Yep.
and is such a healing modality for them. And there's other people,
Hmm.
I'll connect with them one session, we'll do breath work, we'll do some movement, we'll do some tapping,
Mm,
and all of a sudden they're like, this helped me more than years of talk therapy. That's just their constitution and that's how they're connecting with their
hmm.
body and they're open to that type of work. And so it's definitely finding what works for you. And I love all the modalities and that's where I came into this was I for me I needed to integrate all of the things. And so I think
Yes.
figuring that out and respecting that each person that comes to us and that we connect with in this world everyone needs something different, whether they're 7 or 87, they
Mhm.
all need a different approach. And sometimes my stuff lands and other times it's not for people. And I respect
Yep.
and I really hold that true because everyone wants to be in that space where they do feel connected to themselves and where they find what self-care truly does mean to them.
I love that. And I think there's a grace about that too. So we have to figure out what is working and it changes, right? So what is working in this cycle of life might not be what's going to work in the next cycle of life, so on and so forth. And so you have to figure out what works for you. So I'm just curious, what for you, what have been one or two modalities that you have found to be just super helpful depending on where you're at in your life?
Yeah, definitely. I find that shorter is actually really good for me. I would love to be able to
Mhm.
sit and meditate for an hour and exercise
Same.
and lift weights. I'd love that. That would be beautiful. However, I am a working mother and we've got lots going on, and I'm a coach.
Yep.
And so being able to fit these things into these small micro practices or micro pauses is what I call them, which we can do a couple of them, but it makes it accessible for me. So in between clients, in between sessions, when I'm driving to pick up a kid from a practice, in between these things,
Mhm.
I can pause and give my nervous system a breath, little bit of movement, and saying something kind to myself in that moment. And that 60 seconds for me, as long as I'm consistently doing those either a couple times a day throughout the week, like I'm spreading it across, that to me is what's really accessible to me right now. And that's why
Mhm.
I try to teach women this and teach mothers this because it needs to be accessible. It needs to be something that we can touch into really nicely, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, and I
So,
think that like, there are a lot of women that listen to this podcast, and men some men too, but we based on the cycle of life, right? You're in motherhood, you're a professional, you've got boardrooms and C-suites, and, you've got a lot going on, and you don't have time to sit down exactly like you're saying for an hour. That can feel impossible. So those 60-second resets can mean the world to somebody, and if
yes.
you can fit those 60 seconds in walking up the steps, sitting in the restroom, as moving from one location to another when you're hiding from your kids in the closet, whatever it is that you're doing. And so I love that idea of a 60-second reset. You said that you will just breathe and say something really nice to yourself. I think very important to hear. The grace that we have to give ourselves is just incredibly important. So for
Yeah.
you, is that what it looks like? Is you're just gonna just pause your thoughts and take a breath?
Yeah,
Essentially.
let's do 1 or 2 right now.
Oh,
So,
let's do it.
yeah, let's do it. So just sit up nice and straight. If you are
Mhm,
seated, but just feel your feet on the ground, feel free to stand if that works for you as well. You can do these anytime, but let's just try it together. So feel free to soften or close your eyes if you wish, otherwise keep them open. And just take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Let that float into your belly, expand your belly a little bit. And then exhale nice and slow and just feel that softening. Feel that softening in your belly, soften the jaw, soften the chest. And let's do another one. Deep breath in. And then this time, give a gentle sigh as you exhale. Good. On your next breath, now inhale, lift up the shoulders while you breathe in. And then we're going to exhale and either soften them or drop them a little heavier. Good. And do that one more time. Inhale, lift up those shoulders. And then exhale. And then gently bring your hand to your heart. And on your next breath in, simply say, I don't have to hold everything right now. Just breathe that in. I don't have to hold everything right now. And then exhale. Just feel that gentle pressure upon your chest. Feel your shoulders soften and just feel that release, giving yourself permission to not hold everything and just take this time for you. And that just helps us shift out of that pressure
mm.
into that steadiness, that calm. How'd that feel?
That was beautiful. I'm already like, "Oh, yeah, I'm leaning into the Zen. I'm here."
Yeah. Yeah, it
And
feels
you're
so
right, it
good.
was so easy and so fast, and it creates a huge shift. Huge
Yeah.
shift. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
you wanna do another one?
Sure. I'm
Okay.
never gonna say no. The more integration, the
Yeah.
better.
Awesome. So let's say, this is something that I use and when there's those moments of pressure or those moments where like I'm in between something or there's a stressful moment for those of the people
Mhm.
listening that have children, there's those regulation moments. There's those, my kid just said something to me or I'm reacting, I'm feeling that reaction. And there's where, again, just checking in with ourselves and really connecting with how we want to show up is so helpful. So for this one, we're just going to take a nice inhale for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, and out for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, in 2, 3, 4, out 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then gently inhale and just open up the arms and just lift the chest a little bit, gently lifting up the chin. Taking that deep breath in, expanding open. And then exhale, just slowly release, rounding the back, tucking chin to chest. And then come back up and gently rub the hands together. And we're just going to gently cup the eyes, covering the eyes. Take a nice, slow, deep breath in. And exhale. And then on your next breath, offer yourself this phrase: I choose how this goes. Breathe in and out. I choose how this goes. And then slowly release the hands. And just notice if anything's shifted for you. Sometimes just gently shifting out of that reaction, out of that fight or flight into back into your window of tolerance is just that 1 to 2 minutes. How'd that feel?
Amazing.
Yeah,
That's so
good.
good. So we have had an exceptionally challenging week at the college that I'm at in terms of some things that are happening and that happened like institutionally and the
Okay.
effect that it had on people. And so this was such a beautiful reminder that number one, it's fast. And number two, you don't really get to do it wrong, right? Like
Yeah. Yes.
it's really hard to do this in a way that's maybe you won't get the maximum impact, but it's really hard to have a negative consequence. So anytime
Yes.
that you're doing something, you might not get the words exactly right, or the breath count might fall off or one direction or another, but it's really hard to do
Yeah.
it wrong.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And I love that perspective because really all you're doing is you're breathing to regulate your nervous system. You're
Mhm.
moving to release any stored energy, stored tension that might have built up for you and to reconnect with
Mhm.
your body. And then you're healing through those words, which is awareness, compassion, and that connection. And you're right. You
Mhm.
can say, I love to just say, I love you to myself, or I
Yes.
see you, I'm here for
Mhm.
you. Or to my kids, sometimes I'll just say, my calm is your calm or I'm here
I
with you
love
through
that.
this. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Just that connection
Uh-huh.
of I'm here with you. I'm not going anywhere. And it's a reminder not only to them, but in those hard moments, that's a reminder to me. I'm regulated and I'm here right here with you as well. So,
I love that. My calm is your calm. That's fabulous. Oh, talk about how you use this with your kids or other kids too, because I know that you see all ages in your practice. So how do you
yeah.
use this with kids especially? Because I know all ages, but teenagers are going through it. And so
Yes.
what can we do to help them as well?
Yeah, definitely. So it's really starts with us. And so I love to give plenty of things to families to supply them with the
Mhm.
tools to give them more of a framework and a structure for that. However,
Yeah.
I really always encourage people to start with themselves because when
Mhm.
you're regulated, when you do these practices, you prioritize your self care, whatever that might mean to you. When you're regulated, that will just ripple out to your children. And so when you're approaching a challenging situation or they're coming to you, and your system is calm and regulated, they feel that. When they come to you and you're doing 10 different things and you're making dinner and they're trying to bring up an important topic, you're like,
Mhm.
you can feel yourself getting activated. You're not in that regulated space. And so you're not able to provide that calm response that you
Mhm.
normally would like to. And so
Mhm.
that regulation really starts with us. And that's why I say my calm is their calm, because that just ripples out. So, and
Mhm.
as far as actual practices go, when we're practicing these things ourselves, we're modeling it. They're seeing it. I always like giggle with my kids because I'm like, the easy example is when I'm getting frustrated because like maybe no one's helping me in the kitchen and I'm like, someone help me, someone empty the dishwasher, or I'm like, starting to do something and I'm getting frustrated. I just push my
Mhm.
feet into the ground. I might take a couple slow deep breaths, bring my hand to my heart and just say, all I need is within me, or I can do this, something simple
Mhm.
that just really connects me back to me. And then I can ask for the help that I need from a regulated place. Otherwise, my tone of voice isn't that nice, or I'm responding in a way I don't want
Mhm.
to. So they sense that and then they're able to match that. And then they can really hear my message too. And my message isn't laced with
Mhm.
all these other old stuff,
You're
you know,
right.
then they can really hear
Yes.
that. So and in
Mhm.
addition, I think it's providing them the tools too. So really offering them, do you want to sit down and do a body scan with me? Can we go for a
Mm.
grounding walk together? Do you want to sit outside and look at the stars together? Just like the connection and of those peaceful, calm moments, because our society just really pushes a lot of busyness, a lot of devices, things like that. And
Mhm.
we can choose how we relate to that, of course. However, can we model and can we be with them in these quiet, calm moments and teach them that it's okay to be calm. It's okay to sit with our
Mhm.
discomfort. It's okay to feel safe here. So, yeah. And in addition, if people want more
Yeah.
structure, I put together a bunch of the things that I regularly do in sessions actually. And it's just a family nervous system regulation toolkit. And there's some
Mm.
structure, some quick tools you can use for a minute, some breath work, some resets, some little routines,
Mhm.
meditations. And it's to provide a framework and a structure for families that they could use that, because not everyone, I don't know about you, but I didn't grow up
Mhm.
with this. I didn't grow
Right.
up learning
Yep.
this.
Yeah, I definitely didn't learn this. I grew up in nature. My parents were very big on being outside, and so we had it without realizing that's what we were getting.
Oh, yeah,
But I think it is important that you're right. This isn't a thing we were necessarily. Most of us were not necessarily doing. Maybe like some coping strategies, like exercise or movement or things along those lines. But I also one of the things I heard you say that I think is really important is structure is great, and we want to provide that always for kids, but we also are giving them choices. So we are maybe experimenting and finding the
yeah,
things that they appreciate because just like us, not everything is going to work for them. Some things might be frustrating to them while other things will be something that they'll lean right into and that will also change for them. And so it's important, I think, to give them
yeah,
options and to
yeah,
try like don't just blow this off because you don't like the idea of it, but let's try it. And if you don't like it, then tomorrow we'll try something different. So I do think there's something to be said
yes.
for that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're gonna learn as they grow. What my 7-year-old, likes versus
Mhm.
my 14-year-old likes, very different. And so it's just like
Absolutely.
letting them explore and figure out what works for them, just like us. What worked
Yep.
for you today might not have worked for
Mhm.
you when you're 30. So, yeah, like you said,
Yep.
the lifespan and just
And
trying.
there's also, like, I'm comfortable saying this is what I love doing, but not everybody is gonna do that with me. There is a particular meditation that I absolutely love. It's, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he's
Yeah.
a like, they're different. He's a little bit my husband has no tolerance for those. First of all, they're very long, so I get that because we don't have a lot of time, but he's always like, "I can't do that. I just can't do that one with I'll meditate with you, but not that." And so he like,
Uh,
that's not his thing, and that's okay. I get to do that by myself. He won't do that one, but we'll do different ones. And then, oh, I forgot where he's going. Oh, I know. And then you'll get to try. I thought I knew where I was going. I forgot. It had something to do with the kids and what they'll try. And oh, I know what. So it's trendy, right? Like, and what their friends will be doing and what they don't want their friends to know. Cause like back to the like being 50 and comfortable with where I'm at. They're not always. And then, cause I have 3 boys who are 20 and up. And so 2 of them have partners and what their partners are open to will also have an impact on what they are open to or willing to try. And it's just very interesting
yeah.
to see like there's some real strong divergence between what they're all willing to do. It's really
Yeah.
fascinating to watch. Yeah.
Oh, and that's so fun for you to get to experience too, from the
Mhm.
motherhood perspective of watching them
Mhm.
change and grow over their lifetime. I think that's such a gift that
Yes.
we are given as parents. So,
Oh, I completely agree. Don't always enjoy it, but they're raising 3 boys means that life can be a challenge, but I do.
yeah.
They're fun, and they're all different in such interesting and unique ways. When they were little, my middle son was diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD, and we
Okay.
like this was 20 something years ago, so we were not willing to go down that route of medication. And how are we going to do this? We did it with structure, we did it with nutrition, and we did it with coping mechanisms such as we
Yeah.
started breathing, we started meditating, we started qigong, we started all these things. And that's what we did before school every morning was me and 3 boys, because my husband was already at work
Ah,
by this point, 3 boys standing in a circle, and who's choosing the qigong movement of the day, because we all have to get centered and ready to go for our
yes.
day. Who knew that 20 years later I would be teaching qigong? Like that was not what I saw
Oh,
coming, but that's exactly what got me started on this path. They needed it. That's what they needed at the moment, and so that's what we did.
yeah. Oh, I love that. And as a result,
Mhm.
it's like that you modeled that and they felt it. And so think they're
Mhm.
headed off on their day in that frame of mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. That was really important to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I love on the way to school, sometimes I say to my kids, I'll ask them, okay, what's your intention for the day? And so if you and I
Mm.
set an intention,
Yep.
yours might be a little bit different, but my 7-year old, I just say, how you want to show up? What's your intention for the day?
Mhm.
And it'll be something like the sweetest thing, like I just want to be a kind friend, I want to play nice at recess. But he's putting that out there as this is how I want to show up today. And I love that. And I'm
Love
celebrating
it.
that we're manifesting, we're teaching them this is how I want to be in this world. And I'm setting this and putting that out there. So,
Mm.
yeah.
And
And that feels
also it
so settling
changes,
for them.
right? Yeah, and it also you're right, you're manifesting, you're putting it out there for creation. So I think that's
Yeah.
so important. You said that earlier in terms of I think it had to do with like the commentary, like as you're saying these nice things to yourself. You're manifesting that. That's what you're doing. You're putting it out there, you're welcoming it with open arms, and what you are putting out there is what you are receiving. And so it's so important
Yes.
that when we are speaking to ourselves, we are using the tone and the language that is really beneficial and graceful for ourselves in positive language, not negative words, sort of thing. So make sure
Yeah.
you're not using those double negatives to sort of feed your soul. The other thing I find really important when I do that work is to say my name. It took me a long time to recognize that saying my name helped it land and sort of
Yeah.
pulled me out of some of that like imposter sort of pieces where I could be, you can look in a mirror and you can think one thing, but when you look in the mirror and you say your name, you create a reality that's very different.
Yeah, it resonates in a different way. I
Mm.
and I
Mhm.
I love that, and I love for me and for the people that I work with, it's a connection. It's like either
Mhm.
hand to heart or tapping. Yeah,
Yes.
like I do a lot of
Yes.
tapping with
Me
people, and
too.
I just say, okay, we're gonna
Mhm.
tap that in, and I just want you to breathe it in and welcome in either that emotion. We do that for releasing as well, that thymus tapping, or
Mhm.
it's just some sort of connection. We do brushing, we might do some shaking, that breath work where it's like I am moving this and I'm connecting with myself in a deeper way and I'm embodying this work rather than just saying it is beautiful, but I want to take it a step further because that's where I feel like it really can resonate and I can feel it like you're feeling the vibration of you
Mhm.
saying your own name. And
Mhm.
that's a beautiful piece that resonates deeply within you, not only your heart, but your actual cells and the vibration of your body.
Mhm. Mhm. There's no way to say, "Oh, she wasn't talking to me."
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And that
Yeah, I
creates
love that.
that creates what you want, whether that's the calm or
Mhm.
the steadiness or the empowerment. Like you're creating, and that voice that you're saying, that internal voice that you're saying, you're creating that for yourself. And you get to choose. We all get to choose. And
Mhm.
so when we are using that negative voice, which we all slip into, there are
Oh,
plenty
we
of
do.
days where I slip into it, and I'm able to say, wait a second, that isn't my truth, and that does
Mhm.
not feel aligned. But we are a little bit wired for that negativity bias. But
Mhm.
now I know, and I can teach people, we get to rewire all those neural pathways. So the more I am speaking these healing affirmations and words to myself, I'm breathing, I'm really connecting
Mhm.
with myself, I'm creating that reality for myself. And
Mhm.
that's what I get to choose. So yeah,
Exactly. I think you made
so
such a great
powerful.
point that we're not perfect at this. No one is going to be perfect at this. It comes back to giving yourself grace and then reworking it in the moment. So what do I need to change here and how do I do that differently?
Yes, yes, 100%. I just the other day, I was making lunch and I looked at my dog and I said, "I'm having a rough day. I'm struggling." Like
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
I said it because it's like that happens. And then I was able to pause and say, "Okay, wait a second.
Mhm.
I'm having a rough time right now, but I get to
Yes.
choose how this goes. I get to shift this. I get to turn it
Mm.
around, and then I get to
Mhm.
choose whatever that is and wherever I'm headed." But just being able
Mhm.
to name it, it makes it so much more accessible to step into what I want.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You also just reminded me of the it's a funny, not funny story from this week. I talked about how challenging this week was. One of the
Yeah.
incident that happened, my dog goes to work, one of my dogs, she's a rescue and is a facility dog with me. So she goes to work with me every day to work with college students. So she helps them out of panic attacks. She just is there to support and
Oh,
like she's really good one on one. She's not great in a larger group. That's too much energy for her. She's a lot like her mom. And so she, during this incident that we had that was college wide, as soon as we came out of this incident, I was sort of pushed to make sure that people were okay. And so I had to
yeah.
make some rounds around the campus just to check on people. And we came across a student who was having a panic attack, was literally vomiting in a trash can,
Oh,
was having a really hard time. And so my point to this is my dog gives me away sometimes. Like I might be presenting a cool exterior and everything is fine. And I'm going to walk you through this. And here we are. While my dog is behind me shaking like a leaf because that's what I'm feeling in that moment, but I'm not showing it. And so it's really funny
oh,
how she is such an extension of me and will be my reminder of all. Because the other thing that she'll do is avoid people that I don't care for that much. And so I have to, and I don't tell them that, but she does.
she's letting
So
everyone know.
she does. And so I have to make sure that I'm not like putting that out there so that she then is then putting that out there for the world. So it's funny how she can sort of show my feelings when I'm trying very hard not to show my feelings. And so that
Yeah,
helps me then rewire because it points out to me that you might be putting on a good show right now, but you're not doing the thing that you need to be doing. And so now do
yeah,
the work so that you are taken care of too, because you can bet driving home that night after that large incident, I was not fine and I was struggling because I had picked up so much emotion from everybody else throughout the day. And so I then had to
yeah.
let that go, and then I have a really cute picture of her laying on the couch, just staring off into space. Like she wasn't even sleeping. She was just like, I can't believe we did that all day.
Oh, she was tapped out.
She definitely
Oh,
does. She definitely does. But I think it's just a good reminder that it's okay to not do it right all the time, every time,
yeah,
and you make it the
yeah,
best that you can, and then you fix it and you move
yeah.
forward the best that you can.
Yeah, and it's okay to have that dissonance, that discomfort, and that like, "Oh,
Yes.
this doesn't feel aligned to me." Those are some of my most beautiful growth moments and that I also see in therapy
Mm.
sessions with people. It's and in coaching, it's that dissonance, like, "I wanna be doing this, but it doesn't feel aligned," or "I'm
Mhm.
behaving in a certain way," or "My thoughts do this," or "My words do this," and it doesn't feel aligned, it doesn't feel authentic to me, and that's
Mhm.
that crucial moment where you're like, "Okay, what does feel authentic?
Yes.
And let's build that then." And like
Yes,
your dog senses it.
that's where it all comes together, isn't it? When you are not if you are so unhappy and you are struggling and you are just having all of these issues, you'll almost always bring that back to alignment. You are not either behaving in a way that you want to, you're not in a career or a relationship or something that is stopping you from being the person that you are meant to be.
Right. And that
Mm.
goes back to like originally kind of what we started talking about was we might be able to know that, but we may not be able to have the structure to set into, okay, what do I actually
Yes.
do? And how do I
Yes.
physically change how that feels within my body?
Mhm.
Because that is stored in your body. And especially if it's a pattern of behavior, an old wounding, or a trauma from your past that's keeping you stuck with that, bringing the
Mhm.
awareness to that and noticing, oh my gosh, I really feel when this issue comes up, I really feel sadness and I deeply feel it in my heart or I feel it in my belly. And then when we
Mhm.
tend and we notice that, we can do something about it. We can shift
Right.
it. We can start to release and
Yep.
move it. And then it opens us up to the ability to really, again, create what we'd like to, but slowing things down and being present with
Mhm.
what's here and just naming and recognizing it. That is
Mm.
so powerful.
Yeah, that reflection is so important because that's what opens the door to everything else that is possible for you.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
fantastic. Awesome.
Yes.
So I knew this would happen. We are pushing up on our time. There are like 8 more things I want to talk about, but we're going to hold it.
Okay.
So I know that you do a lot of work with all ages, age groups, some like businesses, corporations, that sort of thing. So tell us what that work looks like and where we can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is lifebalancebu.com. Same with the Instagram. I put little practices on there, mini practices. I occasionally host a free workshop, and I have a free ebook as well. So there's plenty of ways to access my content just so you can get a taste of how this feels and how this resonates with you. But I also have a coaching program. It's a 4-month nervous system regulation program. And the reason it's 4 months is to really give yourself that sustainable experience of regulating your nervous system,
Hmm.
and we just move through the foundations of that tension, that stress release, the emotional awareness, and then how to sustain that, because it is consistency and a long practice, being patient with yourself and giving yourself compassion and gratitude as you're learning these skills. So that's why we just take it nice and gentle and slow. And all the practices in that program are under 10 minutes because, again, I love to keep it accessible for busy
Hmm.
people and busy professionals and mothers. I do also offer corporate trainings. I love to do like lunch and learns and workshops and offer this to bigger corporations because they need it, and it really improves the
Hmm.
outcomes. When I work with companies, it improves the outcomes of all their employees and the retention rates and just that general morale. So, as well as
Hmm.
I do speaking engagements as well. Some people have like invited me to join their retreats, which I love to do as well. But I just love helping people, and I'm deeply passionate about it. So, yeah, it's where you can
I
find
love
me.
that so much. So I will put all of those links in the show notes so that anybody can find you and reach out to you. I totally recommend all of you do that. So reach out, look at her site. And there's one thing that you do for kids that I think that we have to talk about quickly. You
Oh, yeah.
create personalized meditations for kids. Just talk about that
Yeah.
real quick.
Oh, yes. Well, and that was born out of my own kids.
Hmm.
They would be listening to these meditations at Insight Timer, which I was like, this is so sweet. This is so cute. And I'm like,
Hmm.
and my daughter said, I wish that they would say my name and they would talk about things I like. And I'm like, well, why don't we
Why
create
can't they?
that? Yeah. So as a result,
Hmm.
it's just like a little Google Doc kind of thing. It's just a little form, and you get to choose your kid's name. You get to choose what type, if you want music or not. Do you want me to mention special stuffy? Do you want me to do movements and breath work? How do you want that incorporated? And then as a result, you get this beautiful meditation. So many parents struggle with bedtime, right?
Yep.
And that for this age group, from anywhere
Hmm.
from 4 to 12, 14, even, like, you've
Yep.
got a meditation then that, hey, just push play. You can be by them, you can co-regulate with them, but it's like soothing and it's connecting deeply in a way that's
Mhm.
personalized to them. So I
Yeah.
love doing those, and those are so
I
fun to do.
love that. And I never like I do hypno meditations for clients, but I never thought of just doing it that way. I love it. And I did that for my kids, but this creates
Oh,
consistency. So rather than you having to sit there and say it and hope that you're getting it at least semi consistent so that they know what's coming and can lean into it, this creates that
yeah.
consistency and they can do it with or without you. I love that so much. That's such a cool idea.
Yeah.
Great, and
Thank
so
you.
that's on her Lainey's website, so you can find that there,
Yeah.
and so I definitely parents go reach out because that is amazing. All right,
Thank you.
I think that we have covered as much as we're gonna cover for today anyway. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Layne just gave us so much to sit with. The 60-second reset, the micro pause. I don't have to hold everything right now. I want you, my friend, to try just one of those practices before you put your phone down today. And then I want to tell you about something that is officially opening this week. The Emotional ER, which is my signature one-on-one session built exactly for the woman that we talked about today. the one who holds everything together and lets no one see the cost. For the entire month of May, you get $50 off of everything in the suite. That is the signature session, the intensive, the series, all of it. You can find them all over at www.drtanyab.com/ER. I love you. I cannot wait to see you next week. If you have any questions or you're interested in the ER session, just reach out.